Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Saturday night. It's January 28th, the Uneven News. And Project Fakeatos is going in overdrive. Hey, Jimmy, how's your night going? I'm pretty sure you're watching these videos because, or at least your staff is, because, we go way back, don't we, Jimmy? Back to 2021. Remember when I was cornering Wells Fargo on LinkedIn? I had caught one of their branded companies, iMerchant Direct, scamming small business owners all over the country as part of my Swiper project, where I was interviewing business owners that had been scammed by them, multiple interviews, multiple victims. And if you remember, Jimmy, I had popped that LinkedIn account as a fresh account, and I cornered April from Wells Fargo. And ETA, the Credit Card Processing Lobby, Electronic Transactions Association, teamed up with Wells Fargo to complain to LinkedIn about me to get me banned. But I only had 3 followers at the time. You were one of them. I went and verified the LinkedIn account. It's your account, dude. So it's either you or whoever runs your social media. Not too long after that, Jimmy, I engaged with Project Veritas by emails. I talked about that in a previous episode. And so there was a relationship there between Clip Artist Films and Project Veritas. So the fact that you guys are covering up your Facebook whistleblower, Ryan Hartwig, trying to frame my source, Stacey Burke, for political motivations, the fact you're covering that up is in complete inversion of your own mission. You're a nonprofit. You're all over social media constantly asking the public to finance your operation. And they're financing a hypocrisy. Nobody's perfect. Okay? And you've done a lot of really impactful work for the country. I have a lot of respect for you, James O'Keefe. I know I'm doing a shtick here with your balls on my website, and it is true. If anybody wants to get a shirt, Jimmy's Ball shirt, just go to clipartistfilms.com or gordonrose.tv, hit the buy now button. They're $30 each. It's a nice shirt, you guys. So why are you hiding from the truth? Isn't it stupid? I'm not going to stop. I mean, all you have to go do is look at my body of work since I've been doing this. I don't quit on stories. I regroup. I take a different approach. But when I have something that is the truth that is being covered up and hurting the public, I'm going to stick with it until it sees its conclusion. You are fucking caught, James O'Keefe. You are fucking covering up. Project Veritas is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that investigates politicians and private institutions for perceived corrupt practices using undercover journalists and what the organization calls guerrilla reporting. Well, that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing, isn't it? So I guess the thing that I'm trying to figure out, and riddle me this. How are you supposed to be taken seriously long-term if you're going to cover up your brand? If you're going to cover it up with a veneer of convenience? Let's boil this whole situation down, James O'Keefe. Here's what I'm looking for comment on, and this is very specific. Please, you can send it to news@clipartistfilms.com. I am looking for comment on why is Ryan Hartwig still promoted on the Project Veritas official website as of right now, Saturday night, recording this podcast, January 28th, 2023. Why is he being promoted on your website when I have proven that Brian Hartwig, by his own admission by text, said that he tried to send Stacey Burke to prison to serve political motivations? He admitted it. He confessed. Go listen to my tape of me getting him to confess, and then the text after. This is not a subjective situation, James O'Keefe. He admitted to trying to send an innocent woman to prison while representing Project Veritas in everything he did. And then just weeks after, I emailed your staff, who I had already had the relationship with by email, who's either you yourself or somebody running your social media account on LinkedIn was following my expose on Wells Fargo, where when I emailed you guys and I said, this is going on, you guys pretended I didn't exist. You ghosted me. You ghosted me like somebody on Tinder that you probably tried to entrap into a confession that might have a little, hey, I'm trying to get laid tied to it. Like, that is kind of a weak lead gen game. Don't you think, James? I'm not saying that you guys don't hit home runs constantly. You do. Can't deny that. You guys do really good fucking work. But in this situation here, you're fucking caught, and I am not going to quit until you publicly hold that rat accountable. There is no way the public should be investing in your nonprofit to protect the First Amendment while you're covering up for somebody that admitted to framing someone, an innocent woman. You can't deny that just 3-4 weeks, I think it was, after I emailed you guys and it says, hey, this happened. He tried to frame her. You guys ghosted me after all the communication I described, and then promoted him at that Florida event and pretended like he didn't admit to trying to frame Stacey Burke for political motivations. How can you cover that up, James O'Keefe? How can you walk away from that? How can you pretend and bury your fucking head in the sand with your big fucking balls? Are your balls too heavy that you can't just put them down for a second and do the right thing? Why would you have somebody like that on your website after they did that? Why would you cover up for them when your mission statement is supposed to be doing the opposite? You're supposed to be the trustworthy source to not do that. Which is why I'm compelled to stick with this and be as loud as I fucking can, as long as I have to be loud, to make sure the public at large knows really what's up. Because if you're willing to do it in this case, James O'Keefe, how many other of your whistleblowers, how many other of your projects, how many other of your investigations are tainted like this? It does beg the question, doesn't it? How reliable is all your news product, really? Anyway, I do want to spin this into a little bit of a productive podcast, which is people that are just catching this for the first time. I know there's a lot going on, but at core here, there is something that is hurting the public, is the credit card processing lobby Electronic Transactions Association. So what happened on LinkedIn, everybody, is I discovered this huge fraud ring that was being protected by Wells Fargo. This credit card processing company, iMerchant Direct, was going out and not just scamming business owners, small business owners, targeting minorities also. They were literally getting control of a small business owner's checking account, saying, hey, we're with Wells Fargo, you can trust us. And then and sell a free trial, a 30-day trial. Hey, try our processing services. Well, meanwhile, right away, within 30 days, that first 30-day time frame, they would just take $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 out of people's checking accounts, and sometimes less, sometimes $2,000, sometimes $500, sometimes bigger amounts. It was all over the board. But the point is they were doing all this straight identity theft. They were forging signatures, caught red-handed, and when Wells Fargo was given this information by me, the media rep, In a very long documented phone call, Wells Fargo proceeded to cover all that up and allowed iMerchant Direct to operate. As far as I know, they still do. And that's what we'll do a follow-up on tomorrow about. But the point is that Electronic Transactions Association and Wells Fargo teamed up to get me banned on LinkedIn because I was simply looking for comment from a Wells Fargo executive on that story. And so tune in tomorrow night, and you guys will hear that call. And sometime next week, I'm going to get a Wells Fargo rep to go on a call. It's either going to be through the front door, or you just might get a phone call. And, well, if you hang up on me, I guess we'll record that too. Because at the end of the day, Wells Fargo, you guys need to be held accountable. The Electronic Transactions Association lobbies Washington, everybody, and says, hey, we're self-regulating. You know, we try to protect small business owners, but really what's happening is that all these fraud rackets are allowed to flourish because the profits from these fraud deals, identity theft, and again, you guys, this is in the names of these big brands. Fiserv is another one. Huge, huge brand. These are, you know, publicly traded. They sponsor sports teams all over the country. You know, Fiserv and the Milwaukee Bucks are affiliated for their building. You know, go research them. I mean, it's straight fraud. And what's happening is there's no regulation to protect the small business owner because this Electronic Transactions Association is basically paying off the government. And then, of course, you got the executives that flop back and forth in between, you know, the private sector and the government and, you know, that whole game. So anyways, we're going to bring a shine a light back on that. But in the time being, Jimmy, maybe you can first get rid of that rat that you have in your house, and then maybe help me expose this scam, because it does affect a lot of Americans, Jimmy. A lot of small business owners are getting targeted with this ISO fraud. There has been progress in the activism side of protecting small business owners in our country from this ISO fraud. A gentleman in Maryland helped pen the first ISO fraud reform bill, Bill 777 in Maryland some years back, 2018, I think it was. His name's Jerron Rice, really great guy, advocate for the small business owner, but it took somebody from the industry actually to take on the ETA lobby. He's a member in the Electronic Transactions Association. And that's the other thing, too, we're going to have coverage on as this focus on Wells Fargo and ETA sharpens, is that there are a lot of good people in the credit card processing industry that don't want to see small business owners be attacked like this. But it's an uphill battle because there's few and far between that want to basically step forward publicly and say, hey, I have a problem with this, you know, like Jerron did in Maryland. You know, that guy's in the lobby and works with people, but also took them on and said, hey, the way that small business owners are targeted with cancel fees that are, you know, extraordinary, not disclosures, liquidated damages fees, just all kinds of little shenanigans that go on that get just thrown by the business owner, and then they end up suffering because it's a financial burden. This is the lifeblood of our country. So anyways, you know, Republicans that believe that regulation shouldn't be in anything, no regulation is good. No, that's bullshit. You do have to protect. And capitalism, this free market, is so ferocious and so wild and free and chaotic, you do have to protect people. And this is one of the cases. Anyways, so maybe, James, we could turn this into a positive thing for the public. Who knows? But I don't know. I would like for you to get your balls back off my website because I'd like to move on to the next story because I got a lot cooking. All right, everybody, check in tomorrow night. Sunday, the Uneven News. See ya.
Thank you for calling Wells Fargo Corporate Communications.
Yeah, hi, Liana.
Yes.
Hey, good morning, Liana. My name is Gordon Rose, and I'm an investigative journalist with clipartistfilms.com. How are you today?
You're doing well. How are you doing?
No, pretty good, pretty good.